Good evening or good afternoon. Welcome to another Remnant Cancer Support Group meeting. I am so excited that you guys have tuned in. The reason why I have all of this excitement is because the gentleman that I'm going to be interviewing today is the real deal. He's going to be talking real talk, and I'm so excited. One of the things he's going to be talking about, because he is a 1-year prostate cancer survivor. And on our broadcast, and even upcoming broadcasts, we will be talking with caregivers, fighters, and survivors. And he is a survivor. So I'm so excited about our conversation today. It might get a little real, it might get a little shaky, a lot of truth is going to come forth. So I just want you guys to sit back, relax, and get ready for Real Talk with Melvin Newson. Hey, Melvin, how are you?
What up, Deidra Moody?
Yes, I'm so excited about this interview today because I just told our viewing audience that you are a real talk type of guy and that you are a 1-year prostate cancer survivor. And so I wanted them to get ready for all this real talk that you're going to give them for the next 40 minutes or so. And so I told them to sit back and relax. And I got a couple of questions I want to ask you, and I want you to answer them as real as you can. Okay. The very first, I'm excited. The very first question is, Melvin, tell me a little bit about your family history when it comes to cancer. Was there individuals in your family, mom, dad, or whomever in your family who actually had cancer prior to your diagnosis?
My mother, my father, and my aunt.
Okay. Okay,
So,
understood.
yeah.
Okay.
But I mean, my mother passed away due to a stroke, but way
Okay.
beforehand, she already told me that's what she had had. She had cancer,
Okay.
and so, but the stroke did her in. And my father, he found out, and they gave him 6 months, but he lasted 2 weeks.
Okay. I'm so
And my
sorry.
aunt, I just, he knew she had it, but I just watched her decline because I would take her to her appointments and all. That's my
Understood.
favorite aunt. And
Okay.
can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you well. I got a
Okay.
question. So, after the diagnosis of your mother, your father, and your aunt, at any time had you ever thought or even considered that you could possibly be diagnosed with cancer yourself?
Nope.
Wow. Okay. Okay. So you never thought at any point this could possibly happen to me.
No. Diabetes, I know that
Okay.
runs in our family, but
Okay.
kind of figured that might happen, but
Okay.
not cancer. But hey, it
Understood.
is what it is.
Okay, so we on to the next question, Melvin. And the next question is this. How did you discover that you had cancer? What happened? Were you at a doctor's appointment? Were you having some type of illness? Was something going on with your body? How did you find out about your particular cancer?
Actually, I had diverticulitis. I didn't know it because at that time my stomach was killing me. So I
Hmm.
went to the VA, and of course they did the prostate, and they saw some polyps, took that. But how I found out is my doctor, she through some blood work,
Okay.
wanted me to go to urology
Okay.
or urology notified. But anyway, I went to that one. Uh, I went with my second oldest daughter. So when I found out, uh, I kind of was taken back. But then I'm like, well, no, like before when I told you, I kind of knew when that result came back, and it just was in my spirit to say, well, hey, I think you got it.
Okay.
But so they confirmed it. And I'm like, oh man, it's a bummer. So I said, well, I tell you what, next thing what? I said, I feel you called it earlier. What's our
Okay.
option? So
Mm.
he gave me a rundown of radiation, chemo, all this operation. It was the robotic against the traditional cut you.
Okay.
And my
Okay.
doctor, she didn't want that, so she gave me who she felt was the best robotic surgeon.
Okay.
So I said, okay, let me think of it. So I conferred with my brother, because he been in the military like 43 years, but he used to work in the operating room.
Okay.
So he kind of eased me a little bit and said, well, bro, that's the best way to go. So I'm like, okay, we'll do that. So when I went back, I said, well, okay, let's get at it.
Very
This
good.
is what the procedure I want to do. So
Very good.
it is what it is.
Okay. Okay. So my next question is this. This is going into what you just talked to us about, how you found out, you got some, let's say, good advice from different people that you knew that kind of, got you in the right direction. You did a robotic procedure. As a result of that, what was your journey like? So you said that they introduced chemo, radiation, these options that you had. What did your actual journey look like? Did you actually do chemo? Did you actually do radiation, or was it just surgery? Where were you at in your journey?
Well, I did the surgery.
Okay.
That's why I did the robotic surgery. So uh, beyond that, uh, I had gotten a call from my urologist,
Mm-hmm.
and no, let me back up. I had went back after follow up after the surgery and all this other stuff. So he mentioned, well, PSA, the number is low, but we're gonna watch it,
Okay.
and you may have to do radiation. So my mind is good for okay when I come back in the 6 months, 3 months, or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
My mind is geared. Okay, I probably have to do radiation. So I'm geared for it.
Okay.
I get the call from the urologist.
Mm.
Then he tells me, I mean, this is about what a few months ago. I got the call
Okay.
when he had told me. He said, "Well, I got some news for you." I'm like, "Oh Lord, okay. Let me see if this gonna do this radiation. I get my mind right."
Right. Right.
Oh, but he told me, he said, "Mr. Newson, I'd like to tell you you're cancer free."
Oh, praise God.
So hey, I mean that's where the glory go to. So
Yes. Yes.
uh, yeah, it's and saying the fact is, then it dawned on me later. I had to do no radiation, even at this point. So
Praise God.
it's
That's
all good.
awesome.
That's all God, you know. So
Yes, that's good. I noticed when you were talking a lot about, dealing with your mind, trying to get your mind geared up. When you talk about trying to get your mind together so that you can go through these processes, are you talking about your relationship with Christ, or was it just something, the conversation you had to have with yourself to say, like, oh, okay, whatever this looks like, I just got to do it? Is that where you were when you say you had to get yourself together in your mind?
I said, I've already had a relationship with God. So
Okay. Okay.
Christ always, I know He's my Lord and Savior.
Yes.
So, but that's goes without saying. I just
Okay.
had to prepare myself to say, well, hey, if I have to do radiation, I'm not trying to make it out to be a monster
Understood.
where I'm like, oh man, got to do what it is because see, I gotta live.
Yes.
So
Yes.
I got 5 grandkids I got to be around for. So
Yes.
um,
Absolutely.
but yeah, I didn't dote on it like,
Okay.
oh, it's me. I mean, it
Right.
is what it is. But like I said, no radiation and no what's the other one? Chemo.
Okay.
Yeah. So
Excellent. Wonderful. Do you believe, because I know you're talking about, I know I may have added on some extra questions, but we're going to get through this 45 minutes. But
yeah, I know you will do that, won't
but
you?
one of the things I want to ask you is, you didn't have to do radiation, you didn't have to do chemo, and you just had to have the surgery. Do you believe that was a miracle in itself? Like, do you believe like that was a miracle? Your doctor first tell you, hey, you got to do chemo, you got to do radiation, you got to have surgery. Do you believe at any point like, okay, that was a miracle because I'm thinking I got to do all these other things?
Well, yeah, every day above ground is a miracle, but I'm just saying, yeah,
Yes.
for me not to take radiation and chemo, God was, hey, but prayer works now.
Yes,
Trust
it
me,
does.
I
Yes.
pray that the angels be over my man's hands and
Yes.
work with his expertise. And so he did it. So
Absolutely. Absolutely.
yeah,
That's
I'm
good.
grateful.
That's
Yeah.
good. I got a question. And I always think this is the most difficult question because what happens is when we go through these processes, because I'm a breast cancer survivor, I think the hardest part, and a lot of us don't talk about this a lot, is our family. How did your daughters deal with you going through? What did that look like? How did they feel? What was going on with them as a result of you being diagnosed? And are they educating themselves after you've been diagnosed with cancer? So, because we got the history going on, so is there somewhere that they're even kind of looking at some precautions to look at themselves? Because
Well, my daughter's always educated me on stuff like that because uh, I met her one, I think she was checking, hoping, she didn't have breast cancer, but they go through and had their examination.
yes,
My other daughter dealing with the issue, Crohn's, but we communicate and all that. So, but when I told them, of
okay,
course, the human emotion,
yes,
they cried a little bit, but I'm like, hey, I'm good.
okay,
I wasn't, I just wasn't really, and I wasn't concerned about it. The fear of death, I gave that up a long time ago. Really,
okay,
you
okay.
know, uh,
I'm glad you brought that up.
knowing that, God who sustains me,
Okay.
but my daughters are in a great support system too, as well as other family and friends. So, um, but when I told them, it bothered them a little bit. And then, hey, the next thing is, okay, Dad, well, we got to do this, got to do that. So they did it. So they troopers. So
Excellent. Excellent. Well, that's good. Your daughters were a good support system and they were supportive. However, all of our family members are hurt when we hear that diagnosis of cancer. How did you keep your faith? Did you stay with God? Did you leave God? I just want to kind of know, was your faith up and down? Where was your faith level during this process?
my faith ain't never left. See,
Okay.
I had a greater because you pray to him, you believe he's gonna do what he's gonna do. And I
Yes.
left it like that.
Yes.
And whether or not I've had to do radiation, chemo, or say it got worse. But God is still God.
Yes.
He does what he does. I'm here for a time and for a purpose,
Yes.
and only he knows that. So
Absolutely.
no, my faith in God has never wavered or ever left. So
Praise God. That's awesome. That's awesome. Woo, hallelujah. Okay, now I got another question. You brought up fear, right? So, can we talk a little bit about men and fear? What's that about? Because prostate cancer has everything to do with your prostate. And so we understand that some men, not all, you sound like you really didn't have any fear. That wasn't an area for you. But what about, talk to me about the men that maybe you even have known who have an issue with the fear factor of going to the doctor, getting things done, getting prostate looked at. Let's talk about that a little bit, because I think in the African American community, we have issues with getting to the doctor. So what do you think? Is that an area for men, or do you don't think that's the truth, that men are fearful or have an area of fear?
Well, this day and age, I don't think they fearful.
Okay.
You know,
Okay.
it is what it is, and the fact is, you need to find out about your body. You
Okay.
don't know what's going on with it. There was no signs that I had prostate cancer. You know, maybe the uncomfortable, but when they probe you to do the colonoscopy, uh, I guess some guys might be like, man, I ain't finna do that. I had that thought one time. I ain't finna let them do
Okay.
that. But like I said, when my stomach was bothering me,
Okay.
so it happened. But you know what? You create the fear in your mind because it's not as bad as one would think it would be.
Absolutely.
And every time I had my exam, the first time I was out, bam.
Okay.
But the other couple of times I was sedated, but then I was watching it on the screen as they probe, and if they found a polyp, they nip it, boom, cut it away, and I'm like, but now I'm nosy, so
okay.
I'm like intrigued, really, like, oh, well, that's what's happening. But yeah, I'm a funny
Okay.
kind of guy. So.
Okay.
It was just intriguing to me because the fear wasn't
Right.
there, like, oh man, no.
Right. Absolutely. So how did go ahead. Go ahead, Melvin. How did prostate cancer change your life after you going through that journey? Did it make life better? Because you know what, I know you are a gospel, and do that in the introduction and tell everyone. Did it affect your life? Did it affect?
No. Listen, I'm living how I've been living. There's no quitting in me when it comes to saying gospel anyway. But it didn't, I mean, what I found out that I had,
Okay.
I dealt with it, got on it, because you got some people want to tell you take this herb, take this, and yada 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 yada. Hey, if we was taught to eat right, I don't think we'd have had cancer anyway. But
absolutely,
that's the signs of the time. You had to eat to survive. So
yes,
I don't want to go way back to the history back then. We ate what was given.
Absolutely.
But like I said, if we ate what our body's supposed to have had, I don't think too many people would die from any kind of disease. But
understood.
being that we eating meat and all that stuff, and then they putting pesticides and all that going on, so it's slowly was killing, developing something anyway. So hey,
understood. Have you changed your diet as a result of this? Like, we all should be eating differently and exercising and all this other kind of stuff. As a result of you knowing that information, have you made changes?
Some.
Okay.
I'm not a vegan.
Okay.
I'm vegetarian. I like my meat. I cook it well.
Okay.
But yeah, I've altered how I eat.
Understood.
Because finding out what I was eating was a contributing factor to
Okay.
got to change up on some things, but but I ain't very too far. I mean, it is what it is. Hey, you're
Okay.
gonna die with something. My man said you'll die from diabetes before you die from cancer. Let's get
Mm,
something cancer-free thing.
yes, right. Absolutely. I got a question for you. And I know we talked about men and fear. What would you say to a man who just newly was diagnosed with prostate cancer? What would you say to encourage him to go forth with whatever it is that he needs to get done? He gets diagnosed. What would be your words of encouragement?
We got diagnosed with prostate cancer, and they caught it early. God's will. Just hey, I recommend you go have that robotic surgery.
Okay.
Matter of fact, a friend of mine, with childhood friend, we're both veterans, and I was down there at VA, and I ran into him. So he said, "What you down here for?" Well, man, I got prostate cancer, and I'm getting ready to get the surgery did, and the surgeon name is Dr. Lucas. So I
Okay.
said, as far as I know, he's the best there is. So he said he had the same thing. I said, well, man, hey, that's the procedure to take.
Mm-hmm.
And we wasn't talking like, oh man, we was talking just like we going on like we talk. So we're not afraid, because hey,
Right.
I told him, hey, who to see and who to
Right.
get
Okay.
and when it's done. And we still call each other. Hey man, how you doing? I had the procedure before he did, so he would call me to see
Very good.
what the results and how I'm feeling and all that. So we discussed what we discussed. But other than that, we both keep it moving.
Okay.
Can't lay down and die, not until it's time, but I keep it moving. I don't worry about it. I don't manifest that fear in my
Very,
spirit. So
very
I
good.
tell anybody, man, go have yourself checked.
Yes.
Even if you don't, still go have your prostate checked and go just have your medical go and have your appointment because you never know what could be wrong.
Absolutely. I think
So
that's so good, Melvin. I thank you for that. But men have a totally different concept when it comes to body parts. That's what I'm going to say. I have a question that is posed to you, and I'm going to ask you this question, and I want you to answer it to the best of your ability. They said, what would you say to a woman who is with a man that is having a hard time performing because of his erection issues, either before or after prostate cancer? So, maybe he might be having some issues before he got diagnosed or even issues after. What what would you say to that, to a woman? That's a hard question, ain't it?
no, you wonder if I would tell her
Yeah. What
that
would
I
you
have
say?
that issue.
Yeah, it says, what
Yeah,
would you say to a woman who is with a man that is having a hard time performing because of him having erection issues, maybe related to prostate cancer?
listen, if that's based on your relationship, I mean, men, we put up with a lot. Y'all get uh, uh, your butts shot up, your lips shot up.
Right, right.
Y'all do this whole 9 yard, the weave, and all that other stuff, and that's for what? To attract us men. Even
Okay.
though it's not real, I mean
Right,
it is real, but it's enhanced. But in this case, if you love your guy,
right.
you just have to deal with it. I mean, because there's other alternatives for it to stand at attention
Absolutely.
and be strong. But uh, if she loves her guy,
Yeah.
know, give him what you can get him while he can get it. And if he can't get it, then you know, sit down and talk with him for other alternatives because they are the same.
Very good.
So
I
what's
like
the
the way
difference? Is
you said
I mean, you know, because they got what? They got the shots. You can shoot at the base to get an erection or
that.
help
Okay.
with one.
Right.
Get an implant and help with one. I mean, it's no more cosmetic stuff than women do when they get their butts and all that stuff did. So, hey, at
I
this
got
day
you.
and
I
age,
totally understand. I understand where you're going. I got another question, and you got plenty questions today. I'm not even going to finishing up my questions, but the next question is this: how do we support our husbands or significant other during the process? So you know how you went through the process, if your boo or your girlfriend, like how would she have supported you by encouraging you, you know, babe, you can do this, how does a woman support her husband during that process?
standing by him, like, I guess. You know, I'm single, so hey,
Okay.
my support group as far as females are concerned, I
Okay.
said, I got 3 daughters.
Okay.
But uh, um, just stand by him. That's the best I can tell you.
Excellent, excellent, wonderful, wonderful. I agree. I know when I went through, of course, I'm single too, but nonetheless, it is important for somebody just to agree with you in the process and not allow you to think about that whole situation over and over again every day either. So I do agree with you that, you need somebody to kind of stand by you and with you. I got another question. It says, he keeps rejecting her because he can't perform. Do you think that's a good behavior? He having some issues, he can't perform, and he's rejecting her altogether. Do you think that's proper behavior, or because he's going through this mental situation in his mind because he can't perform? Like, I can't perform, so I don't want to deal with you at all because I can't perform.
Listen, if
Okay.
she is willing to accept that you can't at that time or for a period of time, I mean, there's no point of rejecting a woman because hey, if she was that kind of woman, she'd have left a long time ago. But you
Okay.
can't base your relationship just on that, because hey, sex, you know, or I should say romance is in different ways, you know what I'm
Okay.
saying? So you
Absolutely.
can satisfy however you choose necessary. But
Yeah. And
if you
let me
can't
ask,
perform at that time
yeah.
and
And
she understands it, man, be a man just like, because that ain't the end of the world. Because if that's what you basing everything on because you can't perform,
yes.
then
Yes.
you weak. And I'm not trying to call men weak, but that's what it is. You don't chase your woman away or a good woman away because you figure you can't. There's alternative. Go get the shot or get a penile implant or
Mhm.
something so you can keep it moving and keep it going. Because I got a hearty appetite,
Right.
but you know, when it
Understood.
comes from my decision, I know what I want to do. So I'm
Okay.
not gonna push somebody away. I tell them, hey, look, this about to happen. Let me tell you what's going on first. So I mean, all honest, because either she's gonna be with you or she ain't.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So
And this is the other thing, because men do think that sex is a big thing, right? But what about intimacy? You ain't got to do nothing. You just got to just hold them, squeeze them. It's not all these other things that we think are so important. And sometimes they're not as important. Sometimes it's just, I need to be hugged today. You know what I mean? So,
well, when that comes, then a romantic.
okay.
This just is my opinion. See, a romantic person,
Hmm.
it does the hugging or flowers or walking, just to hold it in the hand, just kiss. You know what I'm saying? and the physical attraction, you know, or the physical attachment.
Oh,
That don't always have to be. That's just the icing on the cake when you get the goods like that. But you got to, what they say, like foreplay, but it's more so a romantic interlude before the cake is baked.
understood. So, okay, so because these are, I mean, women are asking me questions because we're getting these questions. It's our question segment, anyways. But they're asking questions that they're concerned about their significant others and their husbands. But I truly believe that you are answering some questions that the men have questions about because of fear. So it's like, if I get my prostate looked at, if I got cancer, I'm afraid that I'm not going to be able to do these things. So on one aspect, we're answering questions for women, but we're also asking questions for men because they really want to know, like, will she leave me if it don't work, or so forth and so on. You know what I'm saying? So the question that you just asked was powerful because most
I
of us
mean,
think
that's
that
that's, that's
is every,
twofold.
okay.
I mean to cut you off, twofold. It's just
Okay.
no more than, hey, a woman having what, uh, breast augmentation. I
Right.
mean, she may lose one, she may lose both. Does that make her less than a woman? No. You know
No.
what I'm saying? Because if you view your woman, her true essence, then hey, I mean the breast and all that is just added,
No.
for eye candy. But if it's not there, that don't, you know, make
It's
her any less of a woman.
right.
We had all this pigment. I mean, what is the stigmatization on the fact that all men, big breasts, big butts, all that other stuff. But hey, and some women are blessed with it, some aren't.
Absolutely.
But I got friends who are breast cancer survivors, and
Okay.
they talk to, well, we close,
Right.
best female friends. So
Yes.
when she was going through them, and we talked, and so that just got me to, more educated about breast cancer. You know
Understood.
what I'm saying?
Yes.
So, and she felt the need or the urge to convey that with me or share it with me.
Yes.
So I'm just trying to learn myself. So if any woman that I've uh, met or got involved with and all that, she had that issue, I know how to deal with the issue. You know what I'm saying? So it ain't like me closing up. Oh no, you got that going on. And hey,
Yeah.
like I said, if you creative, you find ways.
Okay. That's good. I like
Uh,
your answer. I like your answer. So these questions are coming. I mean, I haven't even finished up my last couple of questions, but one of the questions is, but he is enjoying other women on social media. So let's just say he may not be doing he's rejecting her, he's been diagnosed, he doesn't want to perform with her, but he's doing some other things. Is this something that's proper behavior? Is this something you would even do, or what would you say to some guy that he ain't getting back with his wife, he rejecting her, and then she says, but he's on social media doing some other things?
your wife, girl, whatever, what makes them what you going to reject, right?
Right.
You might as well reject the rest of them because
Mm-hmm.
that anatomy is still the same.
Okay.
Right? Some breasts might be bigger, some might be small. Like I'm just saying, just going through a little. So why
Yes.
you gonna push her away?
Right.
Or do you have another motive or an agenda that
Mm.
you're trying to, like, or you trying to work on that as, oh, this is my catalyst to get on out
Right.
and
Right.
to mess with. So my thing is, who you fooling? Because if you rejecting your woman and then you getting online or whatever, trying to get with somebody else, then Negro, you're lying. You're telling. I mean, quit playing, quit perpetrating, for real.
Absolutely, absolutely. So that's a good question. So trying to see if I have one more question. Do you know anyone who has dealt, I know you said you had a friend and you met the friend and you guys were at the hospital, ran into each other and both had prostate cancer. Has there been anyone after or before you that went through prostate cancer but had a worse situation? Is there anyone you know that you met had a worse situation? Their situation wasn't like yours. They had to do radiation, they had to do chemo, they had to do all these other processes that you didn't have to take. Do you know someone who's been through that? And what happened with them? And did you encourage them?
Well, yeah, and the fact is that a friend of mine, I mean, he had it, and I'm always believing what God's gonna do, but then we also know that, hey, we all have a number. So
yes.
Like I said, God is still gonna be God, whether we live or die. But see, here's the thing: when people tend to be diagnosed, and then they just ignore it. Speaking of a friend of mine, that he wind up with, well, there's one friend passed away from pancreatic cancer.
Okay.
Nothing can be done.
Okay.
Prostate, let it go, ignore it, like the doctors didn't know what they're talking about. Wind up stage 4, he's gone. Wow. Okay. But during that, I'm always talking the positive thing.
Yes.
But when you see people decline, the thing is that if it's something you can do about it, do about it. Because who gives you a death sentence but yourself? If you don't go and take the steps necessary to prevent that.
Yes, now you're preaching. Yes. So yes.
That's what it is. In my case, like I said, hey, I found out. Let's get to it. You found it. We're gonna do what we need to do. Now, after that's done, we'll deal with that afterwards. But afterwards, God didn't show that. Okay, now I'm a survivor. Okay. Like I said, that dawned on me when I was talking to you. Like, oh man, that's right. I am one, right?
Yeah.
So, kind of a badge of honor, because you can live and testify. Okay. And giving God glory, because I never left him anyway.
Yes.
So but that's the thing. You do what you need to do. Because if you ignore it, then no one gives you a death sentence but yourself.
Oh, that was so good, Melvin. That was so good. I got one more question for you because that was so good. Relationship with women, okay? Because I know you single and stuff. And so if you ran up on your wife right about now, let's just say you met somebody who was great, who's wonderful, and all this great stuff. If you ran up on her right now, would you share with her what was going on with you? And do you think it takes a special woman to be okay with where you are with your health or what's going on with you? Do you think that's important to talk to her or discuss with her about where you are? You meet somebody right now, they the bomb diggity, and you say, whoop, that might be wife. Would you, what's the process of you getting her to understand what has happened to you?
Would I tell her? Yeah, I would tell her. Because I'm not trying to fake and all that other stuff, because I'm not going to try to give you the idea when we get in that bedroom, I'm King Kong and all this other stuff. When,
right.
In fact, that soldier boy ain't standing.
Understand.
Now, to tell her is to see how she really feels about me. Is it me that you're interested in, or you interested in me, you know, getting you in bed and think, you know, fireworks and all that's gonna happen.
Right.
So, then I'll tell you, you know, because it's gonna come to that if you developing any type of relationship.
Very good.
I just ain't gonna be phony. Hey, you either deal with me or you ain't, but deal with me for me.
Okay.
Like I said, there's alternatives to what we're talking about.
Absolutely.
So when it comes to that, then I can like, okay, let me go on and do this, do that. Because like I said, I got a hearty appetite. So
okay.
To get me.
Okay. Okay. Well, hallelujah.
Yeah.
Okay, but look, okay, Melvin, look, you are a gospel artist. I've heard you minister in song in so many different ways. I mean, literally, I know that you had a group at one point. I mean, y'all literally sound like the Temptations, but in gospel, you know. And so I've heard you in so many different venues where, you know, you sang along or you sang with the group. I want you to end this broadcast. Can you give us some song you stood on? Because I know you got a couple of CDs and all this other kind of great stuff. Can you give us like 3 minutes of something that's in your spirit that's on your CD?
Well,
in this broadcast with.
I didn't sit, but I can sing it a cappella, but
okay.
Because I had it. But yeah, the one that I do and I'm title is, you know, is Thank You, Father.
Okay.
For the various reasons.
Yeah.
And the lyrics would kind of self-explanatory, but it goes, thank you, Father, for giving me grace.
Yes.
And blessing me every day.
Yes.
Once was lost, but now I'm found. Because all my prayers are heavenly bound.
Yes.
You came along and you rescued me.
Come on, Melvin.
Jesus died upon Calvary. So much joy and no sorrow.
Yeah.
I can see a bright tomorrow. Build my house on solid rock.
Yeah.
Used to be built in sinking sand. Oh, Heavenly Father, you've been so good. Ooh, you pick me up and you dust me off.
Yeah.
Life is what it costs. I could have been dead sleeping in my grave. You changed death away and made it behave.
Yeah.
Thank you, Father. Thank you, Jesus. You know I love you. No one above you.
Yes. That's so awesome.
A little bit of it anyway.
I didn't know if you had it in you to do it live like that, but that was so good. Oh my goodness. So I'm so excited about the conversation you had with us today. I'm so excited that you gave men and women the real talk of prostate cancer. I want to congratulate you again on your 1-year survivorship. And I'm excited about what God has for you planned in the future, even in your music career. So I'm so excited. I want to just thank you so much for participating in this on today. You were so relaxed. I know you weren't nervous. So I just want to say thank you so much for participating in this remnant meeting on this afternoon. God bless you and may God keep you. Blessings, Melvin. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Deidra.
You're welcome.